DEL Awakening. The quantum barrier pulsed in the night sky above Washington, D.C., visible only to those who knew what to look for. To most humans, it was just another aurora, a beautiful cosmic light show. Dr. Elena Reeves knew better. She stood on the roof of the Smithsonian, her specialized glasses revealing what the rest of humanity couldn't see. A prison wall stretching across the entirety of Earth's atmosphere. 30 years had passed since the Galactic Concordance had quarantined Earth. For humanity's own protection, they'd claimed. The official story told to world governments was that the rest of the galaxy was too dangerous for fragile humans, a convenient lie that most believed. But not Elena. Her comm device vibrated against her wrist. "The Eagle has landed," came the cryptic message. It was time. Elena made her way through the deserted museum corridors. The Smithsonian's aerospace wing had been renovated for 15 years now. Another convenient lie. What lay beneath it was humanity's best-kept secret. 5 security checkpoints later, Elena descended into Project Prometheus, a vast underground complex stretching beneath the National Mall. The elevator opened to reveal a cavernous hangar where thousands of technicians, engineers, and scientists worked in perfect synchronization around a massive vessel that defied conventional physics. "You're late," said Admiral James Chen, his weathered face illuminated by holographic displays hovering around him. "Traffic," Elena replied with a wry smile, knowing full well the underground transport system was never congested. It was their little joke in a world where humor had become a luxury. Chen gestured to the main viewing platform. "The Nexus keys are ready. All 5 of them." Elena's breath caught. "All 5? You said the quantum entanglement was too unstable for mass production." "That was before your breakthrough last month," Chen replied, his eyes fixed on the distant metallic objects being carefully loaded into specialized containment fields. "Your reconfiguration of the quantum matrix was the missing piece. The Nexus keys were humanity's answer to the alien barrier, based on reverse-engineered technology from a crashed scout ship, the one incident the Concordance hadn't been able to completely cover up. These devices could create micro-tears in the quantum field that imprisoned Earth. Director Wallace wants to see you," Chen added, nodding toward the command center. Wallace had been the driving force behind Project Prometheus since its inception, a former theoretical physicist who had lost his family during the first contact incident that had led to Earth's quarantine. The official story claimed a tragic miscommunication. Wallace knew it had been a calculated demonstration of power. The command center buzzed with controlled tension. Massive screens displayed real-time quantum field analyses, ship diagnostics, and satellite feeds carefully disguised as weather monitoring data. Director Wallace stood at the center, his tall frame hunched over a holographic representation of the solar system. "Dr. Reeves," he acknowledged without looking up, "your quantum stabilizers performed beyond expectations in the last test. The question is, are they ready for full deployment?" Elena studied the simulation data floating before her. "The entanglement holds at 99.7% integrity even under stress tests. That's the best we're going to get without actual field testing." Wallace finally looked up, his eyes carrying the weight of 3 decades of secret resistance. "Then it's time for a field test." The words hung in the air. Everyone in the command center knew what they meant. After 30 years of preparation, humanity was about to attempt something the Galactic Concordance believed impossible, breaking through their containment. "The Phoenix is ready," Wallace continued, manipulating the hologram to zoom in on a sleek vessel unlike anything publicly known to exist on Earth. "Core crew of 12. Minimal footprint. If they can deploy even one Nexus key beyond the barrier, we'll have our first window." Elena's heart raced. When? Tonight. Captain Maya Rodriguez had never seen the stars without the quantum distortion of the barrier. Born 15 years after first contact, she had grown up in a world already accustomed to its cosmic prison, though most remained blissfully unaware of their confinement. The Phoenix hummed around her, its advanced systems interfacing directly with the neural implant at the base of her skull. The ship wasn't just piloted, It was experienced, felt, known at a molecular level by its captain. "Final systems check complete," reported Lieutenant Kaji, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "Quantum drive at optimal temperature. Stealth systems engage." Maya nodded, feeling each system's status through her neural link. Crew status. Dr. Samara Okafor, the mission's quantum physicist, glanced up from her station. "The keys are stable. Containment fields holding at 100%. Communications dark as requested." Added Communications Officer Leon. "We'll be completely silent until breakthrough. If we make it." "We'll make it," Maya said with quiet confidence. It wasn't bravado. It was mathematical certainty. She had run the simulations herself over 10,000 times. Success rate, 68.3%. Better odds than humanity had ever had before. The massive underground hangar doors above them began to part, revealing a vertical tunnel leading to the surface, disguised as an ordinary government building in plain sight. "Launch sequence initiated," Maya announced, feeling the ship's quantum drive begin its carefully calibrated power-up sequence. "Remember, people, minimal energy signature until the last possible moment. We need to look like nothing more than atmospheric disturbance." The Phoenix rose silently, its advanced propulsion system leaving no heat signature, no exhaust, nothing that conventional sensors could detect. As they ascended through the tunnel, Maya felt a moment of vertigo, not from the movement, but from the significance. She was commanding the first human vessel to attempt escape in 3 decades. 4 minutes later, they hovered 20,000 feet above Washington, D.C., the city lights twinkling below like fallen stars. "Barrier distance, 2 kilometers and closing," Keiji reported, his voice tight with tension. Maya took a deep breath. "Engage quantum diffusion shield." The Phoenix's exterior began to shimmer as billions of nanoscale particles activated, creating a field that would, theoretically, allow them to slip between the quantum particles of the barrier itself. "Barrier contact in 10 seconds," Dr. Okafor announced, her eyes fixed on scrolling data. 9, 8. Maya closed her eyes, feeling the ship through her neural interface, becoming one with its systems, its purpose. 3, 2, 1. Contact. The world seemed to freeze. For a microsecond that stretched into eternity, the Phoenix existed in a state of quantum uncertainty, neither inside nor outside the barrier, but somehow both simultaneously. Then, with a silent flash of blue-white energy that rippled across the barrier like stone dropped in a still pond, they were through. "Status report," Maya commanded, opening her eyes to a view she had only seen in ancient pre-quarantine photographs. Unfiltered stars, countless and clear, without the subtle distortion the barrier created. "Hull integrity at 97%, Keiji reported, his voice shaking slightly. "All systems operational. Minor quantum fluctuations in the drive core, but within expected parameters." Dr. Okafor was staring at her instruments in disbelief. We did it. We're outside the barrier." For a moment, the crew sat in stunned silence. Then Communications Officer Liang laughed, a sound of pure, incredulous joy that broke the tension. Maya allowed herself a small smile. "Activate long-range sensors. Let's see what's out here." The sensor data flooded in, revealing what had been hidden from humanity for decades. Just beyond lunar orbit, massive structures hovered, monitoring stations, communications arrays, and what appeared to be defensive platforms, all bearing the distinctive architecture of the Concordance. "They've been watching us the whole time," Liang whispered. "Like animals in a zoo." "Not anymore," Maya replied, her voice hardening. "Deploy the first Nexus key." From the belly of the Phoenix, a small probe launched silently, its specialized engines carrying it toward a predetermined coordinate 50,000 kilometers from Earth. Once in position, it activated, tearing a small but permanent hole in the quantum barrier, a door that would never close. "Key 1 deployed and operational," Dr. Okafor confirmed. "Quantum breach stable. Estimated diameter, 300 meters and holding." Maya nodded. Begin Phase 2. Let's place the remaining keys while they still don't know we're here. But as the Phoenix changed course toward the second deployment site, alarms blared across the bridge. Energy spike, KG shouted. One of the monitoring stations is powering up. I think we've been detected. Maya's mind raced through options, calculations, probabilities. Their mission parameters were clear. Deploy as many keys as possible before inevitable detection. Running was not an option. Deploy keys 2 and 3 simultaneously, she ordered. Prepare for emergency quantum jump to the final coordinates. As 2 more probes launched from the Phoenix, the first alien vessel appeared. A sleek, crystalline construct that seemed to bend light around it. It was smaller than Maya had expected, more like a reconnaissance craft than a warship. They're scanning us, Liang reported. Quantum-based sensors, highly focused. Let them look, Maya replied. We're not hiding anymore. The alien vessel made no aggressive moves, seemingly content to observe. Maya wondered if its occupants were as stunned as the humans had been upon first contact, facing something they had believed impossible. Keys 2 and 3 are active, Dr. Okafor announced. Breaches established and stable. That made 3 permanent holes in humanity's prison, enough for what would come next. The Phoenix wasn't just an escape vessel. It was the herald of something much larger. Send the signal, Maya ordered. Liang activated a specialized communication array, sending a quantum-encrypted message back through the breaches they had created. Prometheus is free. The gates are open. Begin Operation Exodus. As the message was sent, more alien vessels began to appear, larger ones this time, clearly defensive in nature. The Phoenix had minutes at most before they would be engaged. All primary objectives accomplished, Maya announced to her crew. Now for our secondary objective. Let's show them what humanity has been working on for the past 30 years. The Phoenix's quantum drive began to reconfigure, shifting into a mode that no alien species had ever witnessed before. The principles had been reversed engineered from scavenged technology, but the implementation was uniquely human, adaptive, innovative, and dangerously unpredictable. Ready for quantum burst on your command, KG reported. Maya smiled as the alien vessels began to surround them, their weapons charging. Let's give them something to remember us by. Initiate quantum burst. Now. The Phoenix disappeared in a flash of impossible energy, leaving behind a quantum echo that would confuse alien sensors for hours. They reappeared instantaneously at the final deployment coordinates, hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. Deploy Key 4, Maya ordered calmly. As the 4th probe launched, establishing another permanent breach in the quantum barrier, Maya looked back toward Earth. Through her neural link with the ship's sensors, she could perceive what human eyes alone could not. The massive quantum barrier that had contained humanity for 3 decades was now compromised in 4 strategic locations. And through those breaches, the first wave of humanity's hidden fleet was already beginning to emerge. The awakening had begun. Breaking sea chains. High Arbiter Zexthal stared at the quantum distortion readings with all 4 of his primary eyes, refusing to believe what they clearly showed. The secondary eyes remained fixed on the emergency reports flooding in from monitoring stations throughout the Sol system. Impossible, he clicked, the translator matrix converting his native speech into the standardized concordance language. The containment field was perfect. No pre-spaceflight species could possibly. They are no longer pre-spaceflight, interrupted Subdirector Mira, her crystalline form shimmering with agitation. As a luminary, her species communicated as much through light patterns as through words. Right now, those patterns signaled extreme distress. The humans have not only breached the quantum barrier, but have established permanent rupture points. 4 confirmed breaches, each approximately 300 meters in diameter. The emergency council chamber of the Oversight Station Alpha fell silent. 7 representatives from the Galactic Concordance's Security Council processed the implications. Humanity, contained, quarantined, and monitored for 3 decades, had broken free. How many vessels? asked Counselor Drav, the Talarian representative whose species had advocated for humanity's complete neutralization after first contact. Mira's crystalline structure darkened. Initial scans detect 7 vessels already through the breaches, more appearing. Their quantum signatures are unusual. Our sensors struggle to maintain lock. Zextal's membranes flickered in the Paxian equivalent of disbelief. What level of technology are we observing? That's the concerning part, Mira responded, projecting a holographic representation of the human vessels, now spreading through the system. These ships incorporate technologies that exceed concordance standards in several key areas, particularly quantum field manipulation and adaptive hull configurations. They appear to be able to partially phase shift, making conventional weapons potentially ineffective. Impossible. Counselor Drav slammed a scaled appendage against the table. Humans were primitive when we established the quarantine. Basic rocket technology. Early fission power. Rudimentary computers. They couldn't have developed this independently. Zextal's inner eyes narrowed. Unless they had help. Or unless we severely underestimated them, Mira finished. The council chamber erupted in accusations and counter-theories. Zextal raised all 4 primary limbs, calling for silence. The how can be determined later, he declared. Right now, we must contain this breach before it destabilizes the entire sector. Activate the defense grid, all monitoring stations to combat readiness. And the primary directive? Asked Mira softly. The primary directive had guided the Concordance's handling of humanity from the beginning. Contain but do not destroy. Study but do not engage. Earth was considered too valuable an evolutionary laboratory to risk its destruction. The primary directive remains in effect, Zextal decided after a moment's consideration. Disable the human vessels if possible. Minimal casualties. We need to understand how they achieved this breakthrough. As the council members dispersed to their stations, Zextal remained, staring at the holographic display showing the spreading human fleet. Something about their movement pattern troubled him. This wasn't a disorganized escape attempt. The vessels were deploying with precision, taking up strategic positions throughout the system. They're not running, he realized aloud. They're attacking. Admiral James Chen watched with grim satisfaction as the holographic war room beneath Washington, D.C. displayed the unfolding operation. 30 vessels had now passed through the quantum breaches, each taking up pre-assigned positions in a complex formation designed to neutralize the Concordance's monitoring infrastructure. Artemis Group reports all targets neutralized in their sector, reported his tactical officer. No return fire. They appear to have been caught completely unprepared. Orion Squadron has secured the lunar monitoring station, added another. Minimal resistance. They're downloading their database now. Chen nodded, his expression unchanging. Decades of planning were unfolding with clockwork precision. The Concordance had made a critical miscalculation. They had assumed their quarantine was unbreakable, and thus had minimal defensive capabilities in the Sol system. Their monitoring stations were scientific outposts, not military installations. Any word from the Phoenix? He asked. Captain Rodriguez reports Key 4 is operational. They're moving to deploy the final key at the L5 point. Director Wallace stepped closer to the holographic display, studying the placement of human and alien vessels. We have perhaps 2 hours before reinforcements arrive from the nearest Concordance outpost. By then, we need all assets in position. And Operation Revelation? Asked Chen. Wallace's eyes gleamed. Ready when you are, Admiral. Chen took a deep breath. The first phase, breaking the containment, had succeeded beyond their expectations. Now came the more dangerous part, forcing the Concordance to recognize humanity as equals rather than specimens. Initiate revelation, he ordered. All ships, execute Phase 2 protocols. Maya Rodriguez felt the Phoenix vibrating beneath her as they approached the final deployment coordinates. The ship had performed flawlessly, its revolutionary quantum drive allowing them to move through space in ways the Concordance's sensors couldn't track consistently. Multiple vessels approaching, warned Lieutenant Keji. Concordance design, larger than the monitoring craft. Likely defensive reinforcements. Maya nodded. Status of Key 5. Ready for deployment. Dr. Okafor confirmed. This is the big one, Captain. Once activated, it doesn't just create a breach, it destabilizes the entire containment field. Which is why they're so determined to stop us, Maya replied, watching the approaching alien ships. Evasive pattern echo. Deploy countermeasures. The Phoenix twisted in space, releasing a cloud of quantum particles that confused the alien targeting systems. The ship's hull reconfigured at a molecular level, shifting its quantum signature to become nearly invisible to conventional sensors. They're firing. KG shouted as energy beams sliced through space where the Phoenix had been moments before. Deploy Key 5, Maya ordered calmly. Then prepare for quantum jump to rendezvous coordinates. The final Nexus key launched, accelerating toward its target coordinates. Unlike the previous 4, this one was significantly larger and more complex. It wasn't designed merely to puncture the barrier, but to introduce a cascading quantum resonance that would ultimately shatter the entire containment field. Key 5 is away, Okafor confirmed. Activation in 30 seconds. The alien vessels converged on the key, obviously understanding its significance. Energy weapons fired, but the key's defensive shields, another technology humanity had developed in secret, held. 20 seconds to activation. Okafor counted down. 15. 10. An intense beam from the largest alien vessel finally penetrated the key's shields, causing damage to its outer casing. Key integrity at 80%, Okafor reported tensely. Still operational. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. The key activated with a silent pulse of energy that rippled outward, invisible to normal sight, but devastating to the quantum containment field that had imprisoned Earth. Like cracks spreading across ice, the quantum barrier began to disintegrate. It's working, Okafor exclaimed. Field integrity dropping rapidly. Estimate complete collapse in under 10 minutes. Maya allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before returning to the mission. Execute quantum jump. Let's join the fleet. The Phoenix disappeared in a flash of energy, reappearing moments later amidst a gathering of human vessels, unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. 30 ships had become 50, then 100, as Earth's hidden fleet emerged from secret construction facilities buried beneath the surface or hidden in asteroid bases. And at the center of the formation was humanity's masterpiece, the Prometheus, a vessel twice the size of any Concordance ship, incorporating 30 years of reverse-engineered technology and human innovation. This is Captain Rodriguez of the Phoenix, Maya transmitted. Mission accomplished. The cage is open. Admiral Chen's voice came through clear on the quantum communication channel. Well done, Captain. Take your place in the formation. It's time we introduced ourselves properly to the Galactic Concordance. As the Phoenix moved into position, Maya watched on her view screen as the Prometheus activated its main systems. The massive vessel began to glow with energy that defied conventional physics, a demonstration of power meant to be seen across the system. Operation Revelation had begun. On Oversight Station Alpha, alarms blared as systems registered the collapse of the quantum containment field. Zexthal watched in horror as the holographic display showed the human fleet, now numbering over 200 vessels, taking up formation near Mars. How? He demanded. How could they have built such a fleet without our knowledge? Mira's crystalline form had dimmed to a troubled blue. Unknown. Our monitoring systems detected no large-scale space construction. They must have built everything planetside, shielded from our sensors. Incoming transmission, announced the communications officer. From the human fleet. They're broadcasting on all concordance frequencies. Zexthal hesitated, then nodded. Put it through. The holographic projector shifted, displaying the image of a human male in what appeared to be a military uniform. His face showed age lines that indicated significant life experience, but his eyes burned with intensity. "This is Admiral James Chen of the United Earth Defense Force," the human announced in perfect concordant standard language. "For 30 years, you have contained us, studied us, and denied us our rightful place among the stars. That era ends today." Zexthal stepped forward. "This is High Arbiter Zexthal. Your actions constitute a violation of concordant security protocols. Stand down your vessels immediately." The human smiled, a gesture Zexthal had studied in xenobiological reports, but never found particularly reassuring. "We will not stand down, Arbiter, but neither have we come to wage war. We've come to negotiate, as equals." "Equals?" Zexthal clicked in surprise. "You are a quarantine species deemed too volatile for unrestricted interstellar access. The containment was for your own protection and development." "A lie," Chen replied calmly. "We've accessed your monitoring stations. We know the truth. The quarantine was never about protection. It was about fear. Fear of what humanity might become if allowed to develop unchecked." Before Zexthal could respond, the largest human vessel, a behemoth that dwarfed even the Concordance's cruisers, moved forward. Its hull seemed to shimmer with energy that defied conventional analysis. "Allow me to introduce the UES Prometheus," Chen continued. "The first of our Revelation-class vessels. Its quantum drive can cross your territory in hours rather than weeks. Its defensive systems can adapt to any weapons you currently possess, and its sensors have already mapped your entire defensive network in this sector." Mira moved closer to Zexthal, her voice low. "He's not bluffing. Our scans confirm capabilities beyond our current technology in several areas." "How is this possible?" Zexthal demanded. "You were a primitive species when we established the quarantine. You made two critical mistakes," Chen explained. "First, you assumed that containing us physically would contain our potential. Second, you crashed one of your vessels during the first contact incident, a vessel that we recovered before your cleanup crews could locate it." Zexthal felt his membranes flutter in shock. The lost scout ship had been written off as destroyed in the upper atmosphere, its remains deemed unrecoverable. "From that wreckage," Chen continued, "we learned about quantum field technology, adaptive materials, and most importantly, we learned about you, the Galactic Concordance. For 30 years we've been preparing not just to escape, but to take our place among the stars. Not as your subjects or your specimens, but as your equals." The holographic display shifted, showing images of Earth's underground facilities, vast complexes where the human fleet had been constructed in secret, shielded from concordant sensors by innovative quantum masking technology. "We could have escaped years ago," Chen revealed, "but we chose to wait until we could emerge from a position of strength. We don't want war, Arbiter. We want recognition." Zexthal studied the human admiral, seeing the determination in his strange, single-focus eyes. The Concordance had catastrophically underestimated this species. The monitoring data had shown technological progress, but had missed the true revolution happening beneath the surface. "What are your terms?" Zexthal finally asked. "Immediate recognition of Earth as a sovereign system with full interstellar rights," Chen replied without hesitation. "Complete withdrawal of all Concordance monitoring and containment systems from Sol space, and a formal apology for 30 years of imprisonment." "That is unprecedented," Zexthal responded. "The full council would need to." "They have 1 hour to decide," Chen interrupted. "After that, we will consider your continued presence in our system as an act of aggression." The transmission ended, leaving the oversight station in stunned silence. "Can they really threaten us?" asked Counselor Drav, breaking the silence. "The Concordance controls thousands of systems. They are one world. One world that broke through our perfect containment and built a fleet we couldn't detect," Mira pointed out. One world whose technology now appears to exceed our own in several crucial areas. She turned to Zexthal. This changes everything we thought we knew about human potential. Zexthal stared at the tactical display, watching as the human fleet continued to grow. Smaller vessels joining the formation as Earth's hidden arsenal fully deployed. The containment field was completely gone now, dissolving into quantum particles that scattered across the solar system. Contact the High Council, he decided. Recommend immediate acceptance of their terms. Just like that, Drav protested. We surrender to a species we contained just hours ago. Zexthal's inner eyes narrowed. We don't surrender. We adapt. If humans could develop this level of technology while imprisoned, imagine what they might achieve as allies rather than enemies. As the emergency transmission was sent to the Concordance capital, Zexthal returned his gaze to the image of the human fleet. In just hours, millennia of established galactic order had been upended by a species that refused to accept its confinement. Perhaps the ancient texts had been right after all. Among the thousands of species in the Concordance archives, humans had always been classified differently. Potential, unlimited. The observation deck of the Prometheus offered a spectacular view of Earth, the blue-green jewel now free of the quantum distortion that had surrounded it for decades. Admiral Chen stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as shuttles began transporting diplomats from Earth to the massive vessel for the upcoming negotiations. They've accepted our terms, reported his aide, offering a data tablet. Formal recognition of Earth's sovereign status. Full withdrawal within 48 hours. And, surprisingly, an official apology. Chen nodded, unsurprised. They're practical. They recognize our position of strength, and the fact that we could have deployed the quantum destabilizers against their own worlds, added Director Wallace, joining them on the observation deck. Though I'm glad it didn't come to that. The quantum destabilizers had been humanity's ultimate insurance policy, devices capable of collapsing the quantum fields that protected Concordance worlds, rendering their defensive systems useless. That they existed at all was testament to how thoroughly humanity had mastered the alien technology. What happens now? Asked Wallace, his eyes fixed on the stars that were now truly within humanity's reach. Chen smiled slightly. Now the real work begins. We've earned our freedom. Next, we earn our place. As if emphasizing his words, the Phoenix glided past the observation window, returning from its historical mission. The small vessel that had first breached humanity's prison now led a formation of diplomatic shuttles approaching from Earth. Captain Maya Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, I have representatives from the United Earth government aboard. They're ready to make history. Chen straightened his uniform. Bring them in, Captain. The galaxy is waiting. As the Phoenix docked with the Prometheus, Chen reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this moment. 30 years of secret development, unified purpose, and unwavering determination had transformed a quarantined species into a force that could no longer be ignored. The Galactic Concordance had contained humanity, believing they were simply managing a potentially dangerous species. Instead, they had created the perfect environment for human ingenuity to flourish, focused, determined, and united against a common obstacle. They had meant to limit humanity. Instead, they had forged it into something stronger. As the diplomats filed onto the Prometheus's grand conference chamber, Admiral Chen prepared to welcome them to humanity's new era. The chains were broken. The stars awaited, and humanity would never be underestimated again.